Ladies and gentlemen, life has a way of testing us, sometimes in ways we never imagined. We all carry wounds, some visible, some hidden, and yet the world looks at us and assumes we are fine. They see a smile, but they don't see the pain behind it. They see the strength, but they don't see the battles we fight every single day. I stand before you today not as someone who has never fallen, but as someone who has learned to rise despite being broken. Because I am more broken than you think. There was a time when I thought my life was over, that no matter how much I tried, I would never be the same again. And you know what? I was right. I was never the same. I became stronger, I became wiser, I became someone who no longer needed to be fixed. Because I realized I was never broken to begin with. You see, we live in a world that tells us that success is about perfection, that beauty is about flawlessness, and that happiness is about having everything figured out. But let me tell you the truth, perfection is an illusion. The cracks in our lives are where the light enters. It is through those cracks that we discover who we truly are. I had two choices: to sit in my pain and let life defeat me, or to embrace my pain and turn it into power. And I chose power. I chose to stand up not just for myself, but for everyone who has ever felt broken, unworthy, or lost. So if you are struggling today, if you feel like life has shattered you beyond repair, let me remind you, you are not broken. You are becoming, you are evolving, and your story is far from over. Rise, because the world needs to see how even the most broken souls can shine the brightest. True strength is not found in avoiding pain, but in rising despite it. Life has a way of testing us in ways we never expect, and often those tests come in the form of hardship, heartbreak, and loss. Many people believe that strength is about never showing weakness, never breaking down, and always holding everything together. But real strength is not in pretending to be unshaken. It is in allowing yourself to feel, to endure, and still choosing to rise again. Struggles are an inevitable part of life. No one is exempt from them, and no matter how much we try to shield ourselves from pain, it will find its way into our lives in one form or another. Whether it is the loss of a loved one, a shattered dream, a betrayal, or a personal failure, every experience that wounds us also has the power to transform us. When we go through something that feels like it is breaking us, we often think we will never recover. We feel like we have lost a part of ourselves, like we are less than who we used to be, but the truth is, these very moments are what shape us into the strongest versions of ourselves. There is something about pain that forces us to confront who we really are. It strips away the illusions, the false identities we wear to fit into the world. When everything seems to be falling apart, we are left with nothing but our true selves, raw and unguarded. And in that moment, we have a choice: to let the pain define us or to let it refine us. Those who rise above their struggles are not the ones who never feel pain. They are the ones who choose to learn from it. Every scar tells a story. It is easy to look at someone and assume that they have had an easy life, that their strength comes naturally. But strength is never born out of comfort. It is built in the moments of struggle, in the nights spent crying, in the days when getting out of bed feels impossible, yet we do it anyway. Strength is waking up each day and facing the world, even when every part of you wants to hide away. It is choosing to keep moving forward, even when the weight of your past threatens to pull you back. People often fear brokenness because they think it means weakness. But brokenness is not the end. It is the beginning. It is the place where we learn the most about ourselves, where we discover what we are truly capable of. When something breaks, we have two choices: to let it remain shattered or to rebuild it into something even more beautiful. The same applies to our lives. We can let our struggles define us as victims, or we can choose to rise from them as warriors. Think of a tree that stands tall in a storm. The wind howls, the rain beats down on it, and sometimes branches snap. But the tree does not fall. It bends. It learns to move with the storm rather than resist it. And when the storm passes, the tree is still standing, even stronger than before. That is what true strength looks like. It is not about being unshaken by life's challenges, but about learning how to bend without breaking. We often admire people who have overcome great hardships, who have turned their pain into power. But what we do not always see is the journey they had to take to get there. Behind every success story is a chapter of struggle. Behind every strong person is a past filled with moments of doubt, despair, and darkness. What sets them apart is their decision to keep going. They did not let their pain consume them. They used it to fuel their growth. The most inspiring individuals are not those who have never fallen, but those who have fallen countless times and still found a way to rise. They are the ones who understand that life is not about avoiding pain, but about facing it head-on and emerging stronger. They are the ones who know that strength is not in never breaking, it is in knowing that even after breaking, they can rebuild. Pain is a teacher. It teaches us resilience, patience, and the power of hope. It forces us to dig deeper, to find strength we never knew we had. It shows us who truly stands by our side and who leaves when things get difficult. It reminds us of what truly matters in life, and most importantly, it proves to us that we are far more powerful than we ever believed. When we embrace our struggles instead of running from them, we gain a sense of freedom. We stop fearing pain because we know that we have already faced it and survived. We stop seeing brokenness as something shameful and start seeing it as part of our story. Every time we rise from our hardships, we become more than who we were before. We become wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. No one chooses to go through pain, but when it comes with a purpose. It is there to shape us, to teach us, and to prepare us for what lies ahead. Every challenge we face is an opportunity to grow. And when we look back at our struggles, we will realize that they were not breaking us, they were building us. Society has long conditioned us to believe that beauty and success are measured by external standards, by flawless appearances, by wealth, by accolades, and by the approval of others. From a young age, we are taught that to be successful, we must strive for perfection, meet expectations, and constantly chase an ideal that is often impossible to attain. We are told that beauty is about how we look rather than who we are, that success is about how much we achieve rather than how much we grow. But the truth is, real success is not about fitting into a mold designed by others. It is about embracing oneself fully, flaws and all, and moving forward with resilience. In a world obsessed with perfection, embracing imperfection is an act of courage. Society often portrays success as a destination, as something we achieved when we reach a certain milestone, when we land the perfect job, when we earn a certain amount of money, when we receive recognition. But success is not a destination, it is a journey. It is not about arriving at a point where everything is flawless. It is about learning, evolving, and continuing to grow, even in the face of setbacks. The most successful people are not those who have never failed, but those who have failed, learned from their failures, and kept moving forward. Similarly, beauty is not defined by symmetry, youth, or societal standards. True beauty comes from authenticity. It is in the way a person carries themselves with confidence, in the kindness they show to others, in the resilience they demonstrate in difficult times. Beauty is found in the strength of those who have endured hardships and still choose to love, in the courage of those who refuse to let their past define them, and in the wisdom of those who embrace their imperfections instead of hiding them. The pressure to conform to societal standards of success and beauty can be overwhelming. People spend years trying to be what others expect them to be, believing that if they achieve enough or look a certain way, they will finally feel worthy. But worthiness is not something that comes from external validation. It comes from within. No amount of achievements or approval can fill the void of self-doubt if we do not first accept and love ourselves as we are. The moment we stop seeking validation from the outside world and start embracing our true selves is the moment we experience true freedom. Resilience plays a crucial role in redefining beauty and success. Life is not a straight path, it is full of obstacles, failures, and disappointments. There will be times when we feel like we are not enough, when we feel like we are falling behind, when we question our worth. But success is not about never experiencing these moments. It is about how we respond to them. It is about standing back up after falling, about continuing to believe in ourselves even when the world makes us doubt. Some of the most inspiring individuals are those who have faced immense struggles, yet refuse to let those struggles define them. They are the ones who have been knocked down but have risen again, who have faced rejection but continue to chase their dreams, who have been told they are not enough but have proven otherwise. They did not wait for the world to validate them, they chose to validate themselves. We often admire those who exude confidence and strength, but what we do not always see is the journey it took to get there. Behind every confident person is a past filled with moments of insecurity. Behind every success story is a chapter of struggle. Behind every strong individual is a history of battles fought in silence. Their beauty does not come from perfection. It comes from resilience, from self-acceptance, from the decision to keep going despite the odds. The most fulfilling success is not the kind that looks good on paper, but the kind that feels right in our hearts. It is not about what we have, but about who we become. It is about waking up each day and choosing to be better than we were yesterday. It is about embracing our flaws, our scars, and our journey. knowing that they are all part of what makes us unique. It is about living with purpose, with passion, and with authenticity, regardless of what the world expects from us. When we redefine success and beauty on our own terms, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of comparison and self-doubt. We no longer measure our worth by how we look or by what we achieve, but by the impact we have, by the kindness we show, and by the way we make others feel. We begin to see that our flaws do not diminish us, they make us real. Our failures do not define us, they make us stronger. And our worth is not determined by the world's standards, but by our own self-acceptance. The journey to self-acceptance is not always easy. It requires unlearning years of conditioning, letting go of unrealistic expectations, and embracing vulnerability. But it is in this journey that we find our true strength. It is in embracing our imperfections that we discover our real beauty, and it is in refusing to give up despite life's challenges that we achieve true success. Healing begins when we stop seeking validation and start loving ourselves as we are. From an early age, we are conditioned to believe that our worth is determined by how others perceive us. We grow up striving for approval, whether from parents, teachers, friends, or society. We adjust our personalities, our dreams, and even our appearance to fit into the expectations placed upon us. And yet, no matter how much validation we receive, it never seems to be enough. There is always another standard to meet, another person to impress, another opinion to consider. This endless pursuit of external validation keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and insecurity, making it impossible to truly heal and embrace who we are. The moment we stop looking for validation outside of ourselves and turn inward is the moment real transformation begins. Self-acceptance is not about arrogance or complacency. It is about recognizing our inherent worth, independent of achievements or external approval. It is about understanding that we do not need to be perfect to be deserving of love and respect. The world constantly tells us that we must change to be accepted, that we must be thinner, more successful, more beautiful, more intelligent. But the truth is, we are enough as we are. The journey to self-acceptance begins when we decide to stop chasing an illusion of perfection and start embracing our true selves, flaws and all. One of the greatest challenges in self-acceptance is overcoming the inner critic, the voice inside our heads that tells us we are not good enough. This voice is shaped by past experiences, by negative comments we have heard, by comparisons we have made. It whispers to us in moments of doubt, convincing us that we are unworthy. But the inner critic is not the truth. It is merely a reflection of our fears and insecurities. The more we listen to it, the stronger it becomes. The only way to silence it is by choosing to replace self-criticism with self-compassion. Instead of punishing ourselves for our imperfections, we must learn to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. We must speak to ourselves the way we would speak to a dear friend, with words of encouragement rather than judgment. Self-acceptance is also about making peace with our past. We all carry regrets, mistakes, and painful experiences that we wish we could erase. Sometimes we hold on to shame and guilt, believing that we are defined by the worst moments of our lives. But healing requires forgiveness, not just for others, but for ourselves. We must recognize that we are not the same people we were in our past mistakes. We have grown, we have learned, and we deserve to move forward without the weight of self-condemnation. Every experience, good or bad, has shaped us into who we are today. Instead of resenting our past, we can choose to honor it as part of our journey. Another obstacle to self-acceptance is comparison. In today's world, where social media showcases curated versions of people's lives, it is easy to fall into the trap of believing that everyone else is happier, more successful, or more beautiful. We measure our worth against highlight reels, forgetting that what we see is not the full picture. But comparison is a thief. It steals our joy, our confidence, and our ability to appreciate our own uniqueness. True self-acceptance comes when we stop looking at others as a benchmark for our own value and start appreciating ourselves for who we are. Each of us has a unique journey, and there is no single path to happiness or success. The moment we let go of comparison is the moment we start truly living. Loving ourselves also means setting boundaries and refusing to let others dictate our sense of self-worth. Often, we seek validation from people who do not see our true value. We stay in relationships that drain us, in friendships that belittle us, in environments that make us feel small. We tolerate disrespect because we believe we must prove our worth to others. But real self-acceptance means recognizing that we do not need anyone's permission to feel worthy. It means walking away from situations that make us feel unappreciated. and choosing to surround ourselves with people who uplift and respect us. The power of self-acceptance is that it allows us to live authentically. When we stop pretending to be someone we are not and embrace our true selves, we experience a sense of freedom. We no longer have to wear masks, hide our insecurities, or seek approval at every turn. We can simply be ourselves unapologetically. And in doing so, we attract people who love us for who we are, not for who we pretend to be. Healing is not about changing ourselves to fit into an ideal. It is about embracing ourselves as we are and growing from a place of self-love rather than self-rejection. The moment we stop waiting for validation from others and start giving ourselves the love and acceptance we deserve, we reclaim our power. We stop being prisoners of external opinions and start living for ourselves. We begin to see that our worth has never depended on perfection, on achievements, or on how others see us. It has always been within us, waiting to be recognized. Pain is an inevitable part of life. No one is immune to hardship, loss, or struggle. At some point, we all face moments that shake us to our core, that leave us questioning everything, that make us wonder if we will ever be the same again. When pain enters our lives, it often feels unfair, like a burden too heavy to carry. It is easy to let it define us, to allow it to shape our identity in ways that leave us feeling powerless. But pain does not have to be the end of our story. Instead of letting it break us, we can choose to turn it into something meaningful. We can use our hardships as a force for good, allowing them to shape us into stronger, wiser, and more compassionate individuals. Many of the most inspiring people in the world are those who have endured great suffering but refused to let it destroy them. They are the ones who took their pain and transformed it into a purpose greater than themselves. They became voices for the voiceless, advocates for those in need, and sources of hope for those still struggling. They understood that pain, while deeply personal, is also universal. By sharing their journeys, they created connections with others who felt alone in their suffering. In doing so, they proved that pain does not have to be the end of the road. It can be the beginning of something powerful. One of the greatest lessons pain teaches us is resilience. When we go through difficult times, we often feel like we are at our breaking point, like we have nothing left to give. But every time we choose to keep going, despite the pain, we grow stronger. Every hardship we survive adds another layer to our resilience, proving that we are capable of withstanding more than we ever imagined. That resilience becomes a gift, not just for ourselves, but for others. When we share our struggles openly, we remind people that they too can survive their darkest moments. We become living proof that pain is not the end of the story, but a chapter that leads to growth. Turning pain into purpose does not mean ignoring our suffering or pretending it does not hurt. It means allowing ourselves to feel, to grieve, to process our emotions, but then choosing to use those experiences in a way that serves others. Pain can be isolating, making us feel as though we are the only ones going through it. But when we use our experiences to help others, we break that isolation. We create a bridge between our suffering and someone else's, reminding them that they are not alone. There is power in vulnerability. Society often teaches us to hide our pain, to put on a brave face, to act as though everything is fine even when it is not. But true strength comes from being honest about our struggles. When we open up about what we have been through, we give others permission to do the same. We create spaces where healing can happen, where people feel safe to share their own burdens. In doing so, we turn our pain into something that uplifts rather than isolates. Some of the most profound acts of service come from those who have experienced suffering firsthand. People who have battled illness often become advocates for medical research and awareness. Those who have overcome addiction dedicate their lives to helping others in recovery. Survivors of loss create support groups for those grieving similar tragedies. Every painful experience carries the potential to be transformed into a source of purpose. It is not about erasing the pain, but about giving it meaning, about using it to bring hope to others who are still struggling. Pain changes us, but we have the power to decide how it changes us. It can make us bitter or better. It can close us off from the world or open us up to deeper connections. It can leave us feeling broken, or it can make us more whole than we were before. The choice is ours. If we allow ourselves to see pain as a teacher rather than an enemy, we begin to recognize the lessons it offers. It teaches us empathy, showing us how to understand and comfort others in ways we never could before. It teaches us strength, revealing that we are capable of enduring more than we thought possible. It teaches us gratitude, reminding us to appreciate the moments of joy even in the midst of suffering. When we stop asking, why is this happening to me, and start asking, how can I use this to help others, we shift our perspective. We take control of our narrative instead of letting pain dictate it for us. We begin to see our hardships not as things that ruined us, but as experiences that prepared us for a greater purpose. The challenges we face become the foundation for the impact we can make in the world. The most inspiring stories are not the ones without struggle, but the ones where struggle was transformed into something beautiful. It is the stories of people who refused to let their pain define them, who chose to turn their suffering into a source of strength. It is the people who, despite everything they have been through, still choose to believe in hope, in love, in the power of resilience. These are the people who remind us that no matter how dark our circumstances may seem, we always have the ability to rise, to rebuild, and to turn our pain into a purpose that lights the way for others. Life is unpredictable. It throws challenges our way when we least expect them, leaving us feeling lost, broken, and hopeless. There are moments when the weight of our struggles feels unbearable, when the pain seems never-ending, when despair whispers that there is no way forward. In those moments, it is easy to believe that we are powerless, that we have no control over our circumstances. But even in the darkest times, we still have a choice. We can choose to remain stuck in despair, or we can choose to rise again with hope. Hope does not mean denying our pain or pretending that everything is fine. It means believing that even in our brokenness, there is a path forward. It means understanding that no matter how difficult today is, tomorrow holds the possibility of something better. Hope is a decision we make, not a feeling that simply appears. It is something we cultivate, something we hold on to, even when it feels like there is no reason to. It is what gives us the strength to get back up after we fall, to keep going even when the road ahead is unclear. Hope is not about having all the answers. It is about believing that answers exist, that solutions will come, that healing is possible. It is about trusting that the pain we are experiencing will not last forever, that life still holds beauty even when we cannot see it yet. When we choose hope, we refuse to let our struggles define us. Hardships are a part of life, but they do not have to be the end of our story. The most resilient people are not those who have never experienced pain, but those who have faced it and still chosen to believe in better days ahead. They are the ones who, despite everything, refuse to give up. They are the ones who take small steps forward, even when the road is long and uncertain. They are the ones who understand that healing does not happen overnight, but that every effort, no matter how small, brings them closer to a brighter future. Hope is what allows us to see beyond our current circumstances. When we are deep in despair, it is easy to believe that nothing will ever change, that we will always feel the way we do now. But nothing in life is permanent. Just as the seasons change, so do our hardships. The pain we feel today will not last forever. There will be moments of joy, moments of peace, moments of love. When we choose hope, we remind ourselves that life is not just about the struggles. It is also about the beauty that exists in between. It is about the people who love us, the moments that make us smile, the dreams that still live within us, waiting to be pursued. Hope also gives us the courage to take action. When we feel hopeless, we often become paralyzed by fear and doubt. We convince ourselves that nothing we do will make a difference, that we are powerless to change our situation. But hope pushes us to keep moving, to keep trying, to keep searching for a way forward. It reminds us that even the smallest step is still progress, that every effort we make brings us closer to the life we want. When we choose hope, we give ourselves permission to dream again, to believe in possibilities, to fight for the future we deserve. Choosing hope does not mean that we will never feel pain or sadness. It does not mean that we will never have moments of doubt. But it does mean that we refuse to let those emotions control us. It means that even on our worst days, we remind ourselves that we are stronger than our struggles. It means that even when we feel broken, we know that we can rebuild. Hope is what allows us to turn our pain into growth, our setbacks into comebacks, our wounds into wisdom. There are many things in life that we cannot control, but we can always control how we respond. We can choose to see ourselves as victims of our circumstances, or we can choose to be warriors who rise despite them. Hope is what separates those who give up from those who keep going. It is what allows us to look at our broken pieces and see not something to be discarded, but something to be transformed. The most beautiful stories are not the ones without hardship, but the ones where hardship was overcome. The greatest triumphs come from those who refuse to let despair win. Hope is not just a feeling, it is a choice we make every single day. It is the decision to believe in something better, to fight for our happiness, to trust that no matter how difficult life gets, we always have the strength to rise again. Thank you.